Hey guys, Compulsion84 here, and today, I'm talking about headphones. So between making these YouTube videos, gaming, and listening to music, I decided I wanted to get a pair of good, $200 to $300 headphones. I was going to buy a sound card, I ended up buying a digital audio controller instead, and I also bought a headphone amp. The one I went with is called the Magni 2 and the Modi 2, made by, I think it's pronounced Shite or Shit. It's SCHIIT. It's some American company with a kind of funny name. They're supposed to be good mid-range amps and digital audio controllers. They do exactly what you need without, having a bunch of bells and whistles. I'm not an audiophile, I just want some better stuff, so that's what I went with. I mean, footprint-wise, it's the size of a DVD case, and them stacked together is maybe, 4 inches high. So I originally ordered 3 different pairs of headphones to try out. These I'm wearing are the HD600s made by Sennheiser, whatever their name is. I also ordered the AKG Q701s. I really wasn't a big fan of these. I also got the Beyerdynamic 990 Pros. These are popular amongst people that like rock, bass, and some people like them for gaming. These are pretty good, but they've got their own problem. So I'm just kind of running through a couple major talking points about each of these headphones that I did and didn't like. I'm not an audiophile, but these are the main, bullet points of my experiences with each of these headphones. So these are the Sennheiser HD600s. They feel really good. They have kind of an oval cup, so they're very comfortable. 2 detachable cables versus 1, so they work pretty well. I really like the comfort of these. They also have kind of a sharp outer look. So I'm going to try and stay away from these wishy-washy audiophile words. For the HD600s, the best way I can describe them is just kind of nice or pleasant. They sound really good, really clear. I mean, these things go for about $300. I really like them a lot. They don't quite have the liveliness as some people say, or quite the, I guess punch would be another way to say it for rock. It doesn't have quite as much of a strong bass, or people also describe it as fun. I really like these, but they're not quite perfect for rock. I've also heard they're not great for gaming, but originally I thought they were a little bit dull doing side by side, and I listened to them for a couple hours, and I really enjoy these. I mean, if nothing else works out, I'm going to keep these because they sound so good. These sound amazing with acoustic or vocals. The ear cups are pretty comfortable. They're oval, so they go around your ears. I like that the cups are very roomy. On the Q701s, they were kind of shallow. These are kind of deep. So these clamp a little tight. There is a fix where you can extend the bands out and bend them a little bit to make them more comfortable. The cups they're good around your ears, but they're not as nice as a soft velour. Other than the slightly excessive clamp, you kind of forget they're on your head. And like I said, they just sound really good. These are the Beyerdynamic 990 Pros. These are the ones I would keep if they didn't have one major flaw. Some people will call it a treble spike. I just say they're grating in certain circumstances. In certain songs where there'll be a voice, an effect, or sometimes just like a guitar, the treble or just part of the sound will just be really uncomfortable and really unpleasant for your ears. It makes me want to either take them off or maybe even skip the song. It's not all the time, but it's really unpleasant when it happens. I've heard that if you use certain amp or tube amp combinations, you can get it to work. But I mean, I just want a headphone that can use the basic amp and not have all these issues. For me, I heard it, and once I started hearing it, it drove me nuts every time I heard it, so it was just kind of a non-starter for me, which is a shame because these are $180. So these are a circular ear pad versus the oval, the Sennheisers, or whatever the hell they are. So these ear cups are kind of like a soft velour. They're really comfortable, and I really like them a lot. Originally, I was kind of on the fence, but I think the cups themselves are actually softer than the 600s. I have a rather large head. I have a 7.5 or maybe 7 3/4 inch hat size, so compare that to yours, but these feel pretty good. The clamp force isn't bad. They are plastic. One kind of big con with this is a non-removable cable, which I don't really like. But if they didn't have the treble problem, I'd probably keep these because they're, under $200. They sound really good for rock. They have really good bass. I listen to some nerdcore along with some metal and hard rock, and they sound really good for all those things. Maybe if you don't use them amped at all, you won't hear the treble issue. Maybe you just don't hear it at all. A lot of people just don't hear it. These are really comfortable. They're really good, but it's got that one kind of fatal flaw, at least for me. So these were kind of a wild card. These are the Q701s by AKG. They can be the K701s. There's several product lines that are the same thing. They got branded by Quincy Jones, who I have no idea who that is. I think he's a musician. So these are kind of weird because they have a lifting headband. The 2 things that really turn me off to these is the headband has ridges, which are as uncomfortable as they look. The earmuffs are also kind of shallow, and they're also just kind of big. And you think that would be good, but I'm trying to show you guys best I can. it's just kind of awkwardly sitting on my head. The cups aren't as deep as I would like them, and it just feels awkward. And this weird ridged headband thing that shifts, I don't know. It just, bleh. I made an Excel sheet to go through like 10 or 15 different fields. I didn't even evaluate these because they weren't comfortable enough to, keep them in my head for a long period of time. So I think sound-wise, these are a little bit more fun and, lively than the HD600s, but less so than the 990 Pros. So they're kind of in the middle. They're so uncomfortable, it's a non-starter for me. The other thing that immediately turned me off to these is this green cord. I mean, some people like this crap, but I think it's atrocious. Look at this. It looks like Mountain Dew sponsored my headphones. It does have a detachable cord, this little button right here, and it comes with a 10-foot and a 20-foot cord, but they're both hideous green. I mean, if I was going to keep these, I would spend $30 to get the black cord, because I just don't want this on my desk. It's also got lime green stitch accents. I don't know, I have a more subtle personality. I like all black or black and silver. So between the Q701s, the HD600s, and the DT 990 Pros, my preference has got to go towards the HD600s just because the 701s have the comfort flaw and the 990 Pros have that weird treble kind of grating flaw. With HD600s, I can just catch a lot of details and just sit here and just kind of get completely immersed, and it's really a neat effect. So you'll see my shirt change because I'm reviewing these on different days because I'm getting different things in stock at different times. So another set of headphones I've got to show you are the Sennheiser HD650s. These are the even higher end version of the HD600s, although they have a very different sound. I like the 600s a lot, but I couldn't decide between those and the X2s, so I ordered the 650s as kind of, a middle ground, but I found I didn't like them very much at all. The one big difference between the HD600s and the 650s in my mind was the bass. The 650s had much more pronounced bass. I didn't find that it kicked though, I found that it more rumbled, which I really wasn't necessarily a fan of. So in order to gain that better bass, you gave up a lot. I found that, rock didn't sound as good, vocals didn't sound nearly as good, cymbals, which sounded fantastic on the HD600s, just sounded kind of, a little bit dull, not as much detail. Some things just sounded kind of a little muffled or distorted. It was really hard to describe. I think I've seen people describe it as murky, but some things just didn't sound really clear, and it was just kind of, it just didn't come through very well, and I wonder if that has to do with the bass constraint mechanism they built into these. These are even more expensive than the HD600s. I mean, these are about $330 on Amazon versus the 600s are like $270, but I figured these out within like not even a day that I didn't like them very much. So I mean, I greatly prefer the 600 to the 650s. Again, that's kind of personal preference. Some people love these, but in my mind, stick with the 600s. These have got a nicer gray color compared to the kind of weird black, blue, speckled. I wouldn't say either is ugly, but I definitely prefer the kind of slate with the 650s here. It became really clear when I compared, the two. I just really didn't like the 650s very much. The kind of rumbly, I don't want to say rattly bass, it was just kind of off-putting. If I wanted, more punchy bass, I'd keep the ear-bleeding 990s or the, much more pronounced but clear Philips X2s. So these are the Philips X2s. I really enjoyed these and the HD600 from Sennheiser. They were, my favorites. I had a really hard time choosing between the two of them. They're kind of different headphones, different uses. The HD600s have just perfect clarity and detail, but they don't have a lot of energy or, kind of fun factor, versus these have stronger bass, more energetic presentation, but they don't keep the details as much. I really, really like these headphones for a couple of reasons. For one thing, the headband moves very freely and easily. These are really comfortable. The pads go completely around your ears. It's also got a single-sided plug-in, which I really like, along with a removable cable. They're very comfortable to wear. They don't get hot. So because the earmuffs are so big, they actually can shift around your ears. So I don't know if you can tell this way. You can actually push them forward so they're touching the backs of your ears, or you can push them back so your ears are actually closer to the speaker. I think the middle's the best. The only problem is there's no way to retain it versus the oval shape of the HD600s. So you might put these on, and if you're not careful, it might sound a little off, and you have to resituate them. So if you're constantly moving around or bumping into stuff or, whatever, they might not be in that optimal zone. It's not a big deal, it's just a minor complaint. You want to be able to put them on your head and have them be in the perfect spot. You can do those with the HD600s, but not with these. The other minor complaint is this braided cord. It makes a lot of noise if you, touch it, bump into it, etc. But if you have it in the right position, it's not a big deal. So the good things about this, it's really heavy duty. It's got a lot of metal parts. You can actually see some of the screws probably in this video. It feels like it's built like a tank. Because of that, it's a little bit on the heavy side. I think it's about maybe 2 ounces heavier than some of the other headphones I looked at. Still not crazy, but still not exactly comfortable. I like the really punchy bass. It's not overwhelming, and it doesn't have that rumbly kind of cheap subwoofer effect. The treble sounds good, it's not ear-piercing. I did notice with a couple songs things were just a teeny bit, I don't want to say harsh, but a little bit like gritty, a little unrefined, just not quite perfect. Again, it wasn't bad and it didn't hurt or feel uncomfortable like the DT990s. I had a really hard time deciding between these and the HD600s because these are more fun. You can feel the impact when you're playing a game and a grenade goes off. You feel that bang, you feel that rumble. But the clarity in the 600s was just so good. I still haven't decided which one I'm going to keep. I like them both. I think if you never heard the HD600s and you just ordered these X2s, you'd be really happy with them and you'd be oblivious to the little bits of detail that you're losing. And it's not that they sound bad at all, it's just the 600s sound so clear, there's so much just depth, there's a lot of little tiny things that I never noticed before that I picked up. Even in like video game sounds, they sound just a little clearer, there's a little more detail, just rich for lack of a better word. And so these are fun, good for music, good for, high energy things. But if you want to hear just things crystal clear, perfectly kind of reproduced without so much bass, maybe if you're worn out, you want something that people call them laid back, which they say is a bad thing. I think whether I keep the X2s or the HD600s, I'll be happy either way. I really like both of them, and I think they're both really good headphones. The X2s are newcomers to the market versus the HD600s I think have been around for over a decade. In my opinion, they're both very good headphones coming from a non-audiophile. Another big pro of the X2s is these have low ohms, so it's very easy to drive. You can get by without an amp, and if you want to really have the full potential, you can get an amp, but you don't actually need one like you would with the HD600s. I can't make up my mind between the two of them. They're both really good. I definitely like the energy and the punch of the X2s, so they're really good from that sense. So if you like to listen to more bass-heavy music, or you want to listen to a lot of music, or play video games and kind of hear the slams of the bolt closing, or the explosion of grenades or whatever, these are great for that. If you want to hear, the strumming of the strings in exquisite details, or the cymbals, just ringing, perfectly clearly, or the vocals of someone singing just perfect, you got to go with the HD600. I went through a ton of research. I tried on like 5 or 7 headphones, listened to a whole bunch of them. I mean, really it comes down to either way, whether you want the clarity of the 600s or the fun kind of punchy bass of the X2s. Both of them are great headphones. I think you'll be happy either way. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel. I primarily do video game and gun related content, and I also do a gadget video or computer hardware video once in a while. Again, I'm Compulsion84, and thanks for watching.